Welcome to This Week in Warframe, a series where I keep you updated on the past week of Warframe, from announcements made by DE that don't necessarily warrant their own videos to community fan art posts and updates. So, without further ado, let's go over D's announcements and news from the 25th of March to the 31st. Starting this week's episode off, we have an update to a previous week's story. This is for the server issues that were happening last weekend, and anyone that had a booster running throughout that weekend will now receive a free booster of what they had running during that period. So if you had an affinity and resource booster, upon logging into the game, you'll receive a free 3-day resource and affinity booster. Moving on, we have the announcement of the extension for the Prime Vault program. It will now end on the 10th of April. So if you want to farm for those items, you have a few extra days to do so. We then had update 22.17. This brought us the Inaros Deluxe collection, which comes with the Inaros Ramses skin, the Kopesh longsword skin, and the Scarab Sayandana. Now, like usual, if you purchase the Inaros skin by itself, you won't be able to get the longsword skin and the Sayandana unless you purchase the full collection for the full price. There will be no discount. Another thing to note about this skin, they will be making changes to the material and pattern of the skin in a future update this week, where they'll make it easier for colors to come through on the skin instead of being a giant metallic shitbox. Also in this update was the Jinzar Nezha helmet, so if you want to get that, you can purchase it in the market. We also have the Endless Kuva survival mission on the tile set of Tavani on the Kuva fortress. So if you want to run this, all you need to do is launch the mission. You will have to complete the War Within, obviously, because it is locked behind that story quest. So launch into the mission, and upon doing so, you'll see an enemy marked with red on the minimap. Kill him, he'll drop a Kuva catalyst, and it is exactly like the power core for the excavation mission. So pick it up and take it to a life support tower. Upon doing so, it will convert the life support tower to a Kuva tower, and you will then have to defend this tower for 1 minute. And once you do so, you'll be rewarded with 200 Kuva, which can be affected and increased by using resource boosters or the Smedekovat's charm buff. Now, also in this, they made some adjustments to the tile set for the Kuva fortress when playing the survival missions so that enemies spawn a lot frequently. They also made some changes to the Kuva guardians, which I talked about in the previous This Week in Warframe. Just buffing their health to 400, increasing the fire rate of the Twin Roga, changing their health type to the same as the Grineer. They added some new articulars to the game so you can customize your orbiter some more. They brought in a new decoration collection titled the Sukshma. So if you want to use them around your orbiter, you can use them just by purchasing them. We had the April Leapers headgear, which were the Easter Bunny ears, available in-game, as well as the Easter color palette up until April 5th at 8 PM, so you should have a few more days where you can purchase this before it goes away. They brought some changes to the Grineer Commander as well, so it will now have a 2-second delay before it actually teleports a person, and both the commander and the person that's being teleported will have an orange glow around them so that they know they are being teleported. Now, during this period of which you're being covered in orange, you can bullet jump or dodge roll out of the teleportation and it will cancel it completely. So there's now a way to actually cancel the straight up teleport. Besides that, there's a few general changes. I did make a video on the topic, so if you want to know everything and the few things that I didn't mention here, you can check out the video or go to the forum post and read it there. Also, another thing to note about the Kuva coming out of the Kuva survival mission is that DE Sheldon did state on Twitter that they may change the numbers of the Kuva reward and anything happening with that in the future, as they are still looking and asking around on opinions. So there's that. Now, besides the update, we got a sneak peek at a few upcoming augments. Now, one comes for Equinox. If you did not know, she did have a augment coming out a couple months back, but it was completely removed because it was apparently broken. Now, this new augment makes it so 100% of the charge at max rank will stay when she switches form. So if you've stacked up a shit ton of numbers when using Maim and you switch to Mend, those numbers will stay the same, and then you can blast it for a quick heal. So that's a pretty cool augment for Equinox. We then have a augment for Mesa, which is coming up, which is apparently one of the Conclave mods that's coming to the base game, and that is called Mesa's Waltz, which makes it so Mesa can walk around and move at 50% of the speed that she normally does, when Peacemaker is active, which is a pretty cool augment, but is completely undermined by the fact that if you use Mesa, you usually just bullet jump into the air, hold shift, and then pop your ult, and kill everything while floating through the sky. So, you know, in my opinion, that's kind of a useless augment, but we'll see what people do with it. Now, that was most of the news that we got this week, but there is a few tweets from Steve that I'll show to you in case you did miss it. Now, these are related to upcoming UI changes with UI 3.0. First off, he showed us a login template. Now, what you're seeing on screen is their first iteration that they showcased. It's really yellow. I personally don't like it, but it is a UI mockup. It isn't what's going to be in the game. It's just a version of what they started with and are working on. So just in case you didn't know, that's what it is. This won't be coming into the game in their current form. There will be changes before they actually do come in. So that's the first iteration. We then got this second login screen, which features your Warframe and an Orokin style effect behind it. Once again, we have this yellow to symbolize the Orokin, and more in-your-face buttons, so we have sign up, exit, and log in. They're a lot more potent when it comes to the display. And then we have this final one, which is a lot simpler. It's not as in-your-face as the previous one, but it's still there, and it's still in your view. We then got a UI showcase of how controllers and console players will work, which in the comments of the tweet, people seem to don't like it because some people didn't like the Destiny 2 feel of the cursor coming into the HUD, and more or less like pressing the button, go up and down with your D-pad and all that shit. Just what you're seeing on screen is just a basic cursor for the console, kind of like Destiny and Destiny 2 if you played that. We then got another look at some more UI changes, and this time for the mod screen. Now, as you're seeing on screen, in my opinion, it is completely cluttered, but that is what Steve stated as well. And of course, this is, once again, a work in progress and a mock-up, so it's not what's going to be in the game. Now, my criticisms here would be remove the fucking Warframe. It's completely pointless when you're modding. Get rid of all the yellow. It's really overwhelming, in my opinion. There's just too much going on, and the colors as well, they just don't work. So hopefully we'll see a better and much cleaner version once they finish working on it. Now, with these themes, it goes along with what I just said with the yellow, but there will be themes, so you can change between different color sets. So Steve showed off yellow and black, cream and pink, which looks really shit, and blue and black. Now, my problem with these ones, once again, it's a mock-up, it's just giving my feedback, would be too much of the same color. I'm pretty sure that's obvious, so hopefully we get a reduction and kind of various blacks or grays and whites and all that stuff going on, because there's just too much color going on, in my opinion. But, you know, that's my opinion. If you have a different one, let me know in the comments. I'm sure I'll read it and see what's going on. Finally, there was just a video of him showing off the themes, switching throughout them, and, you know, just previewing what they have available at the moment. So we'll see what happens with this new UI once they get closer to releasing it. I'm pretty sure they'll show it up on a future dev stream, and hopefully that will be the case. Now that is it for all the DE related information and stuff relating to Warframe news. We'll now move on to community fan art, which is the first time I've done it in a couple of weeks now. So starting it off, we have TrippyKittyX with a nice Ivara piece. We then have Sillfix with their Zephyr Prime with wings piece, which is pretty cool, and I really love the fucking art style. We then have this really nice and clean Trinity piece, which I love the simplicity of it. It's just beautiful. We then have Fallen Sentient by ValwyrmArt, which just once again looks really nice. We then have Enemy of My Enemy by Visorium, which is a Grenier in a corpus and some infested in there as well. Looks really fucking cool, and the integration of each of the species and races and whatnot is just great. We then just have a piece called Warframe by DanteVirgil. Looks really cool, and I love the energy effects. I believe that's what it is. It just suits the feel of Warframe, and it came off really nice as well. We then had Warframe Oberon by AbsoluteWeapon. Pretty simple once again, but it's simple and complex at the same time, and it's just a beautiful piece. And once again, just to say it for the sake of saying it and repeating it, we have Harrow by MuHut, which nice and clean, simple and complex at the same time. It just looks good. Anyway, that is it for this week in Warframe. If you like this video, leave a like. If you think I can improve upon the series, in any way, make sure to leave it in a comment down below, as well as once again your thoughts on the UI mockups that they showed off, maybe the Kuva Fortress. Just let me know your opinion and I'll have a read of it. Now, of course, if you did miss out on last week's episode, you can click the annotation on the screen right now and it will take you to the complete playlist or the video itself. So thank you for watching and I'll see you guys next time.